What is going on, Misfit Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Misfit Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Matt the Misfit, the man behind the mic, and we're going to go over the Monday Night Raw review for June the 12th, 2023. After my long absence, well, it's not really long, it was just a week that I took a week off here. I recovered, hopefully, but I covered everything from last week on last night's very first edition of the Pile Driver Pulse weekly roundup show, where I go over everything that happened in the world of professional wrestling, including recapping Raw, SmackDown, AEW, including some other shows like NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Dominion, Stardom, all that stuff. It's all over there, exclusively on other audio platforms like the ones I'm about to mention here: Spotify, Audible, Pandora, Amazon Music, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. You can also find this version, the reviews, that's going to be everywhere on youtube.com/@Misfit Wrestling Podcast. You can also follow the social medias: Misfit Podcast TV on Twitter, Misfit Wrestling Pod on Instagram. Well, that's about it. Monday Night Raw, I thought it was a pretty good show this week. I thought, again, I thought last week was excellent, but this week's Raw I thought was pretty good. I enjoyed it. There's two solid matches that I thought were excellent stuff. We've seen Damian Priest advance to Money in the Bank, who, as of right now, is my pick to win Money in the Bank. I'll go over that in a little bit. He defeated Matt Riddle to advance to win his qualifying match to advance to Money in the Bank. We also seen an excellent main event. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens defended successfully the undisputed tag team champions against Intercontinental Champion GUNTHER and Ludwig Kaiser, Imperium. Excellent main event. We also found out what one of the World Championship matches is going to be in London. It's going to be Seth Rollins defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Finn Balor. It's the first title defense on pay-per-view for Seth Rollins since winning the championship back at Night of Champions, or Sands of Time, as people like to call it, and some other stuff here. But the show opened up with a presentation, much like on SmackDown last week. Rhea Ripley was presented with the WWE Women's World Championship, which looks exactly like the one Seth Rollins has, except it's white. It has a white strap. That is it. Again, WWE being lazy with their championship for the other titles. Like, I fear that when they reintroduce the tag titles, not the women's tag titles, the main title, the men's titles, they're going to look exactly the same, just with a different color. I just know it. But yeah, now neither world titles on Raw or SmackDown for the men's and women's look the same. Oh, all right, let me phrase that. Look brand specific. So next time the draft comes around, if let's say Rhea Ripley is still the champion and Asuka or Io Sky or somebody is the champion by then, and they get drafted over to a different brand, then we don't have to worry about brand exclusive, just branded championships is what I'm trying to say here. Dominik comes out here to get the heat because that's what he does. The crowd boos Dominik as he starts trying to talk here. He says that their responses are very disrespectful. He says he stands behind a great woman, or says behind every great woman is a great man, and he is glad to be that for Rhea Ripley. Cody Rhodes' music hits. He comes out of the ring because he's supposed to be having a match with The Miz, which was spawned off last week during Miz TV. He asks Wichita Rhodes does, what do they want to talk about? Then says that they could talk about Rhea and her new title. He voices his respects for her before throwing it to a video of their confrontation from last week on Miz TV. Rhodes says that it would be nice if Brock Lesnar. Cody says it would be nice if Brock Lesnar came out and accepted his challenge for whatever it's going to happen. but he thinks that Lesnar doesn't have the balls. He then challenges Dominik to a match at Money in the Bank, which Rhea Ripley eventually accepted. Dominik says he's not afraid of anyone in the world. He says he'll embarrass Cody in the middle of the ring like he would do anyone else. Rhodes asks, is it yes or no answer? Ripley says that Dominik is more of a man than Rhodes, anyone in the arena or anyone at home, basically saying he's better than everybody. And like I said, Rhea accepts Dominik's challenge on the behalf of Dominik. So it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Dominik Mysterio at Money in the Bank. And this is actually perfect. And I am actually okay with this because if you're not going to have Dominik Mysterio or Cody Rhodes involved with the Money in the Bank ladder match, and you want them on the show, this gets them on the show in a match against each other instead of them having to do the Money in the Bank ladder match. And depending who else is in the, well, we already know who as of right now, it's only 6 people, but we'll talk about that in a little bit once we get to that. If let's say LA Knight is the crowd favorite, probably, maybe not, we don't know, but for this example, let's say LA Knight is the fan favorite to win Money in the Bank, right? And the crowd's going to be cheering like crazy for LA Knight. Are you going to risk having Cody Rhodes in the match, who might not get the crowd reaction against somebody like an LA Knight or a Nakamura or a Damian Priest, who was in the match? I'm going to talk about Damian Priest in a little bit. And who else? Or a Pete Dunne, who's going to be in his home country of the UK for this match here. Would you risk it? No, but it's perfect to put him in the ring with somebody who people love to hate, and that's Dominik. Gets heel heat everywhere he goes, and it's a perfect way to make sure Cody doesn't get booed. You put him with somebody people love to boo, and as Dominik, and it's great. And the match should be good. I'm willing to admit I might shamelessly enjoy that match here. But while this is going on here, it's a distraction for Miz to blindside Rhodes, or tries to blindside Cody, but Cody bests him, and then we get Cody Rhodes versus Miz. Match was all right. Nothing too big happened here. Cody Rhodes was able to hit the Cody Cutter, and then the Crossroads for the win here. Again, nothing too special here. Gets Cody a win on television, builds him up to his eventual Texas Bull Rope match, which is the plan for SummerSlam against Brock Lesnar, but also the match with Dominik at almost said WrestleMania at SummerSlam. I almost said WrestleMania and SummerSlam. I meant Money in the Bank. Next up, we've seen the lovely Becky Lynch comes out here. Says, and this was an awkward promo. This was not very good. And I love Becky in her promos, but this was not very good here. Becky says the man has come around to Wichita and is head to Money in the Bank. She says that she's done a lot in her career, but one thing she hasn't done is win Money in the Bank. She says everyone is conditioned to think that the number one woman is the champion, but the person that is number one is the one who has with all the power. She says that no one holds more power than the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, because they have the power to make the champion scared and throw them off their game. She says that Becky says rather, when people get scared, they do dangerous things, and she likes that because it makes her better. She says no one is more scared than Trish Stratus, and she got herself an insurance policy in Zoe Stark. Out comes Zoe Stark. She says, she yells actually, but I'm not going to yell it here. She says she's had enough, and the one thing Becky can never do is beat Trish, which is probably going to happen at SummerSlam. So I wouldn't hold my biscuits for that one here. Becky then says that she's learned from all her failures, and that makes her great. She says she's learned a lot about Zoe Stark in the past couple of weeks, but she knows she's special in the ring. She says Stark lacks personality, which is kind of true. in the her character is not very good, if I'm being honest. Like, she's great in the ring, but her character is boring. But this angers Zoe Stark and says that she asks Becky rather if she owns a mirror, and says that she's become relevant because of Nia Jax, which is not actually true. That is untrue. She was kind of becoming a bigger star long before Nia broke her face. Just thought I'd throw her out there. She was becoming a star within SummerSlam vibes there. She came over immediately at SummerSlam that year, but that's neither here or there. She says Becky's trying to hold onto her fame and use basically Trish's fame as well. And then she challenges Becky to a match at Money in the Bank, which that doesn't make a lot of sense at all. When they're in the Money in the Bank ladder match, they say that they don't have to wait till why would they even ask for a match when they're in part of the Money in the Bank ladder match? That doesn't make any fucking sense. And this promo did not do it for me at all. Even me trying to read this promo, I got tongue twisted as well. This did not make any fucking sense. I love Becky Lynch. I'm not the biggest Zoe Stark fan. I like what she does in the ring, but I'm not the biggest fan of hers. But this was not very good. Again, why would you challenge to a match when you already have a match? Both of you are in the same match, and you want to challenge her to another match. That doesn't make any sense. I get it. Becky Lynch did the double title defense in 2019, but that's because she had two matches with two different people. She was facing Lacey Evans and then immediately lost to Charlotte, who immediately lost it to Bayley after a cash-in. Chelsea Green's music hits because we found out that it's going to be Becky Lynch and Chelsea Green here. She appears with herself with Sonya Deville. Green taunts Zoe Stark. Stark gets her in the face, but backs down. Sorry. Green then says that Becky attacked her unprovoked last week, and Deville says that she didn't win because she cared about Green. Becky cuts them off and says that and tells Chelsea Green to get her ass in the ring so I can kick your ass. This match happened. This was not very good. This is boring as fuck. Becky Lynch wins with a disarmer. My thing is, I think the whole point of this is Chelsea Green's character is supposed to be, I'm terrible at everything, even though we know Chelsea Green is actually pretty good in the ring. But this was more about building Becky Lynch up for Money in the Bank, who she's not winning, by the way. For those people wondering, she's going to lose because of Trish Stratus. I'm almost certain that's what's going to happen here, but we'll talk about that when we get to that here. Next up, you see Judgment Day backstage walking around and talking amongst themselves. Rhea Ripley asks Silent Finn Balor if he's fine, and Balor says he has a lot on his mind. Damian Priest then asks Rhea, Balor, and Dominik to let him face Matt Riddle alone before walking off. Then we get the Money in the Bank qualifying match. Damian Priest defeated Matt Riddle in an excellent match here. This match was all over the place. I enjoyed it. There was one point where Damian Priest rolls out to the outside and Matt Riddle hits a floating bro from the ring apron. Springboard from the ring apron to the outside. Beautiful. There was a fisherman suplex from the top rope that looked great here. But all in all, match ends with Damian Priest hitting a razor's edge, not once but twice, to get the win here. Damian Priest heads to Money in the Bank, and if I'm being 100% honest here, my pick. See, I didn't want to pick LA Knight to win originally because everyone else is picking LA Knight, and I don't think he's winning at all. But my pick officially, currently as of right now, is Damian Priest to win Money in the Bank. There's just a lot of momentum behind Damian Priest right now. After everything he's done since that whole stuff he did with Bad Bunny, which looked incredible stuff. and the stuff he's been doing with Judgment Day, I mean, I think we should give him something, and I think him winning Money in the Bank should be good. And you know what? I would not be opposed to him eventually cashing in on. Well, I'll talk about that in a little bit here. But after the match, Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser comes out here. They stare down with Priest and Gunther stare down, which another good idea here. I've heard people talk about here. I'll give that thought in a second. This leaves Gunther and Kaiser alone with Matt Riddle. They beat the fucking piss out of this dude and leaves him for dead. And you know what? I know I just mentioned, Damian Priest winning Money in the Bank, but I would not be opposed for once Gunther passes Honky Tonk Man's record. I would not be opposed to seeing Damian Priest be the one to dethrone Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. I'd be all for that. And you know what? Damian Priest would be the first one. I believe he would be the first person to win the North American Championship, the television. I believe Damian Priest was a ROH television champion here. If I don't want to misquote that, but I'm pretty sure this man was a television champion in Ring of Honor. Yes, he would be the first wrestler ever to hold the Ring of Honor World Television Championship, the NXT North American Championship, the United States Championship, and if he were to beat Gunther, the Intercontinental Championship. So that'd be I wouldn't be opposed to that here. Natalya backstage with Byron Saxton says that after getting buried and destroyed by Rhea Ripley at Night of Champions, she doesn't know what the fuck to do with myself anymore. So I say, get the fuck off my TV screen. That's exactly what happened. She just moved off my TV screen. Thank God. Kevin Owens, who is fucking killing it. I love Kevin Owens' new gimmick of just being the guy who watches the show. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, then passed by Byron Saxton and asked Owens about his loss to Gunther last week, which was an excellent match, by the way. Owens says he hopes to get his payback tonight, but Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser comes in. Kaiser eggs Owens on, but Zayn keeps him calm and says, it took 3 men to gain a victory over him. Ask where Giovanni Vinci is before Adam Pearce walks in and asks what the problem is. Zayn then says there's no problem here. It says himself and Owens are confident that they'll win. Kaiser says if they're so confident, why don't you put the Undisputed Tag titles on the line? And it fired Owens. It strikes just going off and says, you know what? Let's put the fucking titles on the line. Let's do this shit. And Gunther encourages so while this is going on, while Owens is walking off, going off just on a tangent, I can see I can see Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser laughing, and I'm pretty sure that was a real laugh, because there's no way I would have crumbled and laughed when I saw that, because Kevin Owens is just a gem, and he is such a delight to watch. He's hilarious I love this character he's doing of him just being guy who watches the program, and I love it. But it is a major official, and later on is for the Undisputed Tag Team titles. We go from that to Corey Graves and Kevin Boring Patrick Starr. Throw it to a video package to something that should not be on Raw because it's fucking SmackDown. But the excellent stuff that happened with Jey Uso. Whatever. Bronson Reed versus Ricochet. This makes sense here. Last week, Ricochet and Nakamura were having a match, and Bronson Reed got involved. So, makes sense to have Ricochet ask for a match with Bronson Reed. A match didn't last very long here. Ricochet got murdered multiple times there. But Nakamura comes in. Nakamura, who comes out, doesn't really do much here. But Reed eventually tosses Ricochet on top of Nakamura, sends He ascends to the top rope that does Reed and attempts to do the tsunami, but Nakamura gets in, hits him into the degree, causes disqualification. Nakamura, who's beating the shit out of Bron Reed in the corner, Ricochet gets in his face, but both men try to fight off here. Hits a ginormous double suplex, which gets the crowd popping here. And then for the match here, we've seen, and then in the back, you've seen Ricochet get up to Adam Pearce's face and says that, I want Bronson Reed next week. Well, Adam Pearce is like, well, Bronson's already booked for a match next week. And you're like, oh, really? Against who? Nakamura walks in here and says, basically they get into it. Nakamura says it's not nothing personal. But asks, Ricochet asks him why he did what he did. He tells Nakamura if he does something like that again, they'll have an issue. Nakamura tells him that he can have Reed once he's done with him. So next week it will be Bronson Reed versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I've noticed this with Nakamura too, and I haven't been able to pinpoint this as of late, but it's coming. It's coming to me that ever since he's come back from his hiatus, from his run, his little hiatus he had after he wrestled Muta in Noah on New Year's Day, I've noticed that Nakamura has been like a different person. Like not like, well, how do I explain this? Like it's like he cares. Like he feels more motivated now. And a motivated Shinsuke Nakamura is the best Shinsuke Nakamura. And he just feels like the Nakamura of old. He's not a heel. He's not a babyface. He's just a badass. And I love that. It's what happens when we can do wonders. Triple H loves Shinsuke, and he will. It shows with how he's booking him on Monday Night Raw. Moving Shinsuke from SmackDown to Raw was the right decision, because that man needed to get the fuck away from SmackDown. He was doing absolutely nothing, and you got 3 hours of programming now, so you can find time for Shinsuke on the show. Next up, Finn Balor calls out Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins comes out. Didn't get to say, well, Finn Balor was trying to say much, but he didn't get very much out there because the fans were chanting, whoa, whoa, all that stuff. But Balor says he's not complaining about the, let me backtrack here. Balor says he's waited to say 7 years to tell Rollins something. He says that he was the first draft pick for Raw back in 2016, which is true. He was the 5th overall draft pick in the draft. Well, actually, no, that's actually not true. Seth Rollins was the first draft pick for Raw. He was the 2nd draft pick. I think he was the 2nd draft pick. No, he was the 3rd draft pick for Raw, because I think Charlotte was the 2nd draft pick for Raw. I think that's what it was. He beat Roman on his debut night on Raw. Beat Rollins 3 weeks later at SummerSlam to win the inaugural Universal Champion. And he says what should have been his highest of highs became the lowest of lows because Rollins tore his bicep labrum. It basically fucked his shoulder up. That buckle bomb. He says he's not complaining about the injury because it's the nature of the business, but he took everything from him. Took everything from his ring. He says Rollins took his momentum, title, and half of his career, a year off his career. Balor says it's time to do the same thing. The Rollins challenges him to a match at Money in the Bank. Rollins says, "This is the Finn Balor I've been waiting to see for the past 7 years," and says that their SummerSlam match in 2016 sent them on completely different career paths because one of them got bitter, the other one got better. Says that while he's done some bad things over the last 7 years, he's made some memories of and history adapting and rolling with the punches. He says that this version is the greatest version of Seth freaking Rollins, and now he has proof with the World Heavyweight Championship. He says if Balor wants a title shot at the upcoming Money in the Bank pay-per-view, he said he's got it, and asks which version of Balor is going to come to London. He says Balor since he says Balor as himself. Yes, is it going to be Balor as himself? Because Balor as himself has no chance, he says. But Balor that beat him for the inaugural Universal Championship has a shot. He asks, which version of Balor is he going to bring to him to London? Is this going to be this bitter bitch of himself here? Or is it going to be the man who beat me in Brooklyn with a fucked up shoulder? And mic drop here. And it's going to be, they kind of alluded to possibly the Demon coming back for this match. And I know I said, listen, I don't care if the Demon, about the Demon character anymore, because the Demon character is ruined for me after they had Roman Reigns just beat Finn Balor as the Demon with the stupid, and let's not get into that, because that still enrages me to talk about it. But what was it? What the fuck was I about to say here? I lost my train of thought here. Oh, so, but if he does bring him back for London, it's probably going to be, I wouldn't mind it seeing Jack the Ripper on the main roster. That Jack the Ripper inspired Demon thing for this match here. Balor is obviously going to lose. He's not winning the match. But this match will be excellent. And I mentioned this earlier with Finn Balor and Damian Priest here. I would not be surprised if Finn Balor wins. I wouldn't be surprised or opposed if Finn Balor winning at Money in the Bank and then Damian Priest cashing in on Finn Balor to win and probably winning the world title. I'm saying they should do it, but I'm not against it because I just want to see how that works here. Raquel Rodriguez, the most uninteresting human being walking God's green earth when it comes to professional wrestling as a character, enters the ring with somebody who would probably legitimately murder you just by staring at her with a bad look in Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler wins with a roll-up. This match did not fucking matter at all. What are they doing with Shayna Baszler? I know what they're doing with Shayna Baszler. I don't like it. I already don't like this team with Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. Sure, it gets Shayna on television, but it's also not doing very good for Shayna Baszler because they're going to win the undisputed tag. They're going to unify the tag titles, and I don't fucking see Ronda Rousey showing up on fucking NXT. Come on now. That's not going to happen. Anyway, something that's going to get over with the fans here is Alpha Academy is now 100% part of stuff without Maxxine Dupri. Maxxine Dupri comes out looking like Lola Bunny in her jersey wrestling singlet thing, which looked, yeah. And Gable wins with a roll up on Eric of the Viking Raiders. At one point in this match, Max Dupri hits a arm drag on Valhalla, which actually looked very good. Max Dupri has not actually had any match. I guess they're going to be training her to eventually do a match between Viking Raiders with Valhalla. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But this is, I told people online not to get overly excited on a Chad Gable push, because it's not the Chad Gable push you guys are looking for. It's not a singles run. They're not going to feud Otis and these three together. They're just going to push this group as an actual group going forward. That's what the push is. So then we see Finn Balor backstage with JD McDougall, which is interesting here. I will talk about my little theory here in a little bit here. Damian Priest walks in and asks McDougall to leave. Or no, he leaves on his own accord. Balor congratulates Priest on qualifying from the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Priest asks if he would cash in Money in the Bank on. Balor asks Priest if he would cash in Money in the Bank briefcase on him should he become world heavyweight champion. Priest says, "I would never do that. You're my boy." He wishes Balor good luck in his upcoming title match with with Seth Rollins. And that's that worked here. I've noticed now, and this is something I actually thought was actually really interesting here because, and this is something I thought about here. I'm like, I think because they're clearly setting up for Damian Priest to become a single star outside of whatever they're going to have him do here. So I think what's going to happen here is Finn Balor is going to remain the quote-unquote leader of Judgment Day. And whatever happens with Damian Priest, they're going to kick him out. And they're going to replace Damian Priest with JD McDonough. I think that's what's going to happen here. I don't know when they're going to do it. I would not be surprised if let's say Balor wins the World Championship and Damian Priest wins the briefcase. Either way, I think Damian Priest is winning the briefcase, but who knows what they're going to do here. I'm very intrigued what they're going to do here. Before we get to the main event, we found out that next week we're going to have, I believe we're going to have Cody Rhodes doing something on the show, I think. Let me see if we can find out what's going to happen next week, because I know that, oh, here we go. So we're going to have Seth Rollins is going to do an open challenge next week. They're going to be in Cleveland, Ohio. And I think Seth Rollins should have the open challenge be accepted by one Johnny Gargano from Cleveland, Ohio, because why not? That sounds like a lot of fucking fun. We also found out that Logan Paul will be on the show next week, and I have this weird sneaking suspicion that Logan Paul is going to be added into Money in the Bank next week, and I don't want it. I'm worried. Oh man, I am worried. Because if he's in the Money in the Bank, everyone else is fucked. I hope that's not what happens here. Main event time. This is an excellent main event here. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeated Imperium to retain the undisputed tag team championships. The match ended. I can't even do this match justice. But Sami Zayn won off the Blue Thunder Bomb, which you rarely see. While that was going on, in the background there, Matt Riddle was coming up here to get involved here, and all Owens and Gunther takes out whatever they had here. Kaiser gets distracted, gets hit with a Blue Thunder Bomb, and like I said, Sami Zayn retains the championships for his team in Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This was an excellent main event here. A very good episode of Monday Night Raw, in my opinion. I give it a 7 out of 10 just for those two matches here alone, and the promo segment between Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. Also, Seth Rollins, speaking of Rollins, he will be on NXT tomorrow. I will talk about NXT on Sunday, which I'm planning to do this show as a weekly thing. We'll talk about the schedule in a little bit here. Let's go over the new card as it stands for Money in the Bank here. Here is the current supposed full field for the men's Money in the Bank ladder. As we got Shinsuke Nakamura, Ricochet, LA Knight, Pete Dunne, who will, in my opinion, I think is going to become Pete Dunne when we get to Money in the Bank, Santos Escobar, and Damian Priest. They may add Logan Paul into Money in the Bank. Hopefully they do not. For the women here, Zelina Vega, Zoe Stark, Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Io Sky. I think there was another one. I could be wrong here. Let me look here. I have, for some reason I have Zoe Stark in here twice. I don't know why. That was weird. Okay, anyways. Cody Rhodes versus Dominik Mysterio and Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship. The 4-man matches to take place on the show. Gunther defending the Intercontinental Championship against Matt Riddle. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens will probably once again defend those tag titles against Kaiser and fucking Giovanni Ricci. They're obviously not going to have Asuka defend the women's championship on the pay-per-view because they're going to do the thing with Rhea, well, not Rhea Ripley. What the fuck is that damn person's name? Charlotte in her bank here. But that was Monday Night Raw. The schedule for this week is going to be insane. We got AEW Dynamite this week. AEW Dynamite is going to be, it seems like it'll be a stacked show here. We got the Young Bucks taking on the Blackpool Combat Club. We have Adam Cole taking on MJF in a championship eliminator match. There was another match that was announced for the show, and I don't remember what it was. We also got SmackDown. Roman Reigns returns for SmackDown this week, and I believe some other things are happening on that show here. I think there was a match announced for that show. I don't fucking know. And then we have the debut of AEW Collision on Friday night. The only match currently announced right now is Samoa Joe and Bullet Club Gold of Switchblade Jay White and Juice Robinson taking on AEW Tag Team Champions FTR and the returning CM Punk. And some other stuff, which I will cover on Sunday for the Pile Driver Pulse weekly roundup show, which will go over happenings for NXT. Maybe something, if something catches my eye for Impact Wrestling, I'll talk about it. The other news and rumors going into whatever show is happening here, whatever's come out of Dynamite, and whatever possibly may come out of Collision, because we don't know what the fuck is going to happen. That weekend's going to be a very interesting, newsworthy weekend here. The rumor of Punk and Kenta seems to be probably going to be set up on Saturday at Collision, and all that stuff here. But again, if you want to find all that stuff, just look for the social medias: Misfit Podcast TV, Misfit Wrestling Pod on Instagram, Misfit Wrestling Pod on Twitter, or Misfit Podcast TV on Twitter rather, and the audio outlets where you can listen to the show, the Pile Driver Pulse, on the other places, like I said, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, Stitcher Radio, all that good stuff here. Yeah, I've been Matt and the Misfit. This has been the Misfit Wrestling Podcast. I will see you guys back here for AEW Dynamite. Until then, we are out.